Welcome to our explainer, where today we are digging into two of the heavyweights of software development methodologies, the unified process and the rational unified process. Let's get right into it. All right, here's our game plan. We're going to start with the unified process, or UP, and its four key phases. Then we'll look at the rational unified process, RUP, and see how it beefs things up with more structure. And finally, we'll put them head to head so you know which one to pick for your project. I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? When you've got a massive project with a ton of moving parts and high stakes, you need a plan. You absolutely need a way to keep everything from spiraling out of control. And that's exactly where these two come in. UP and RUP were designed to bring order to that chaos. They both focus on building things step by step, with a lot of checks and balances along the way to make sure the final product is solid. Okay, so let's start at the beginning with the foundation. The unified process, or just UP.
The key thing to understand about UMP is that it's not some super strict rule book. Think of it more like a flexible game plan. It's all about building software in small, manageable chunks, which makes it way easier to handle changes and get working features out the door faster.
And these principles right here, they're the secret sauce. UIP is iterative, so you build in little cycles. It's focused on architecture, which means you build a strong foundation before you put up the walls. And it's all about tackling risks head-on, so small problems don't become giant headaches later. So how does this actually work in the real world? Well, UP breaks the whole project down into four main phases.
These phases guide you from the very first spark of an idea all the way to launch. They are inception, elaboration, construction, and transition. Let's take a look at what happens in each one.
First up is inception. This is where you're basically asking, is this project even a good idea? You figure out the absolute must-have features and make sure everyone is on the same page about what you're actually trying to build. Next, elaboration. This part is critical. It's like drawing up the detailed blueprints for a skyscraper. You're building the core architecture, the skeleton of the software, and identifying the biggest technical hurdles you'll have to overcome. Get this right, and everything else is so much easier. And then we get to construction. This is where the magic really happens. The team starts coding, building out the features, and testing constantly. Piece by piece, the system actually starts to come to life, and you get a working version of the product you can see and touch. Finally, there's the transition phase. This is the home stretch. It's all about getting the finished product into the hands of the people who will actually use it. This means beta testing, training, and making sure the launch goes off without a hitch. Okay, so that's the unified process. Now let's talk about its bigger, more structured sibling, the rational unified process, or RUP. The best way to think about RUP is that it takes all the great ideas from UP and puts them into a much more formal, detailed process. It's like UP went corporate. This makes it perfect for those huge, really complex, industrial-scale projects. So what's RUP's big innovation? Well, a huge part of it is the idea of disciplines, which are just specific types of work that need to get done throughout the project. Right, so imagine your project is like a factory assembly line. You've got different stations for things like design, engineering, and quality control. At certain times, the design station is running at full speed while engineering is just getting warmed up. RUP maps out this entire workflow, showing who should be doing what and how much of it at any given time. You can see it really clearly here. Early on in the inception and elaboration phases, a ton of effort is poured into things like business modeling and figuring out requirements. You're trying to nail down what you're building, so actual coding or implementation is pretty low on the priority list. And then, as you shift into the later phases like construction, bam, the whole thing flips. The need for new requirements drops way down, and the intensity of implementation, testing, and deployment just skyrockets. This is how RUP brings a real sense of order and predictability to the whole process. Okay, so we've got these two powerful options. The big question is, how do you know which one is the right fit for your specific project? You know, at its core, the choice really boils down to one thing: flexibility versus formality. URP is your adaptable general framework. RUP is your detailed, buttoned-up, rigorous process. This table breaks it all down. See, UNP's flexibility is awesome for projects where you know things are going to change. But RUMP, with its detailed structure, extensive documentation, and super clear roles, that's built for huge teams working on massive, high-stakes projects, especially in industries with a lot of regulations.
So, when you think of Agile, the big takeaway is adaptability. It's designed to roll with the punches, it encourages teams to work closely together, and it's great at sniffing out risks early on. It's perfect for a dynamic environment.
And for RUP, the keyword here is rigor. It gives you incredible control, it lets you trace every requirement from start to finish, and the documentation is second to none. It's for those projects where precision is absolutely non-negotiable. So there you have it. Whether you need the flexibility of UP or the industrial strength of RUP, both brought a much-needed, structured, iterative mindset to software. And that leaves us with one final thought. In today's world, which is so dominated by Agile, what is the real legacy of these methods? How do these core ideas of distinct phases, focused disciplines, and building the architecture first still shape the way we build software today?